because now lab assignment also you are doing. So any confusion, anything which you are finding, you may ask now. So we have discussed a lot of things. That's why I have not removed the content. It is all here. So if you have any doubt, you may ask quickly. So we will review that and then go for the induction motor control. Clear to everyone? There is no problem. Vishal, Naveen, no issues, right?
No, sir.
Okay, so I can remove all this. We need not revisit, right? Yes or no? Yes, no, what? Say something. In the controller design or anywhere, if you are finding anything difficult, everything is clear, right? Ashutosh,
Yes, sir, it is.
Pooja,
Yes, sir.
okay. Satyaprakash,
Yes, sir.
good, good. Okay. So then let me remove this part. Okay. So now today what we will do, we will try to understand few things about induction motor and what we can do to model it in our appropriate reference frame wherever we want to model it. Correct. So we start from the basic, whatever we have done for PMSM, we will start from there only. Our basic per phase circuit, what we have. So the same thing we will use for induction motor. This is what we have said, that it is a generic model which we can use for any symmetrical machine. So we have input supply on both the sides, assuming that it is general induction motor. I am not seeing a squirrel cage as of now. So keeping that in mind, we have supplies on both the sides. Let's say wound rotor or the doubly filled induction motor. So this is how it is. Now the currents are also indicated on the respective sides. Fine. Now if I have to write the equation, so what my equation would be, can one of you quickly tell? So directly we will write the vector form. So one of you can tell quickly what all components would be there. Yes, someone?
Sir, RSIS plus
Yes.
LS by dt
Okay.
plus LM DISR with R with respect to S.
Yes, in the stator reference frame. Correct. And what about the rotor equation?
IR
Someone else should tell now.
IR, RR
Okay.
plus LR, DIR, DIT plus LM,
Okay.
DIS respect to R.
Yes, in the rotor reference frame. So these equations we know, these are the generic equations. Equation number 1 is for the stator and equation number 2 is for the rotor, and they are in their respective reference frames. This we have understood very clearly. Now when we are talking about induction motor, there is no separate field excitation in this. So we have to define few terms very clearly. There are two circuits which are interacting with each other. One is stator, another is rotor. So there is some flux associated with the stator that we may call as psi s, and there is some flux associated with rotor that we may call as psi r. So of course vector, and there is some flux which is associated with both. So that is called as our air gap flux. This we can call as psi m. Are we clear over here? So three flux we are defining. Okay, overall the machine has one unit, but we can define that same flux in three parts. One which is only associated with stator. Only means leakage plus whatever is coming in the magnetizing. Another which is associated with rotor, meaning the leakage of the rotor plus the magnetizing. And the third one which is common to both, which means only associated with the magnetizing inductance Lm. Is that clear? This is
Yes, sir.
clear, right?
Yes, sir.
So the inductances with which they are associated, this is Lr and Lm, this is Ls and Lm. Please note that it is not LLR Lm I am writing, although you can write that also. And here also I am not writing LLS Lm, although you can write that also. So let us see how these flux can be defined first, and then we go for defining our other quantities. Now, what is basically flux if I ask you? So it is L into I, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Is that true, right? So whichever term is coming because of some inductance and current, that is actually termed as flux. So if you see in this equation what we are writing over here, this part is what is associated with some inductance and some current apart from the IR voltage drop. And it is same for the rotor current also, rotor equation also. Apart from the resistance drop, the other term is actually associated with some flux. Understanding my point? Now what this flux is, that we have to see. So we have written KVL for both the sides. Now, if you rearrange any RL circuit, or in general, let us say if you have any RL circuit given something like this, there are two ways to write the equation for this RL circuit. One, you can write like this, IR plus L di by dt. So here you have assumed that your L is fixed and only current is changing. But we have seen actually that in case when we have general L which may vary, so we can write this equation as understanding my point, where psi is nothing but the flux associated with the magnetizing branch. So this is the most general form in which any electric circuit can be denoted or can be expressed. The KVL can be written in most generic form. Now here if you assume that dL by dt is 0, then it will go back to the first equation itself. So this is what we will use, and we will express these two equations in that general form. So what we can actually write that yes, the voltage what we have applied on the stator and rotor side, it has in general two components. One is what is getting dropped in the resistor, and then the rate of change of flux. Now which flux? So stator has stator flux and rotor has rotor flux. This is clear, right? No confusion. So when we are writing stator equation, we are considering psi s, and of course in the stator reference frame. And when we are writing rotor equation, we are taking psi r, of course in the rotor reference frame. So from here we can define our stator flux. So what our stator flux would be? It will, or it can be written as combination of these two terms. This is what we are seeing from our voltage equation also. If I go back and show that, so if you see here, this is Ls dis dt and Lm dir dt. So our flux term is nothing but the combination of the two, which can be written like this. What it says, that stator current is associating with the total stator inductance Ls. Ls is Lm plus LLS. So stator current is associating with both the inductances, whereas rotor current is only associating with Lm, the magnetizing, what is common between the two. Understanding the difference here?
Yes, sir.
This is what is defined as our stator flux. Similarly, what will be rotor flux if we have to write? Same way you can tell.
LR into IR plus LM.
Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, you must understand that we are saying stator flux. That means the reference frame is stator reference frame. When we are saying rotor flux, the reference frame is rotor reference frame. So this is defined as our rotor flux IR, where IR is associating with total rotor inductance, which means Lm plus LLR, and the stator current is associating with only the magnetizing inductance Lm. Understanding my point? This is what we see in the equivalent circuit also. When we have equivalent circuit, this sum of this LLS plus Lm, this gives you total stator inductance, and sum of this LLR and Lm, this gives you total rotor inductance. And the current which are linking with these inductances, that we are taking over here in these two equations. So Is is associating with both LLS and Lm. Similarly, IR is associating with both LLR and Lm. But Is is not associating with LLR and IR is not associating with LLS. Understanding my point? That is the definition of leakage. When we say stator leakage, only the stator current is associating with that inductance. When we say rotor leakage inductance, only the rotor current is linking with that rotor inductance, rotor leakage inductance. Am I clear up to this point? Understanding my point? Now,
Yes,
sir.
the third flux which we have defined, the magnetizing flux. Now what I can write for this? This is the magnetizing current flux. Sorry, the magnetizing inductance and the current associated with that. So what is the current associated with this? Is plus IR.
IR.
This is what we say as our magnetizing flux. Now, to be specific, we can say air gap magnetizing flux. So whenever you are using term flux, you have to be very, very clear. Now, in which reference frame we are writing this? Let's say if we are writing in a stator reference frame, then we express our IR in a stator reference frame, or vice versa. Any confusion here?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So when we say stator magnetizing flux, this is this. When we say rotor magnetizing flux, this is this psi r. All the three terms, are we clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this is the difference. When you go from PM to induction motor, you have to understand these three terms. There we had permanent magnet. We simply defined our rotor flux in those terms of the magnets and all, and then we got the equations. But here we have all three things equally important. Now, the thing which I mentioned in the previous class, that the phasor diagram, which perhaps we draw many a times, but we don't understand what it is trying to say. So what we do, we start from the common entity, which is the psi m, let us say, the magnetizing flux, which is common to both, right? Then we have some back EMF generated on the rotor. Then we have the rotor current, and then the associated things we do. So E1, and then the Jx E1, sorry, this should not be so big, whereas the rotor resistance component should be big. So this is IR RR component, and then perpendicular is our JIR LLR. So X I can write XLR. This will be in general our voltage on the rotor side, VR. And then similarly, we can write on the stator side. So same EMF will be induced for the stator magnetizing circuit also. Even again, for this psi m, we have some magnetizing current IM, and this combination of these two, IR and IM, is basically our IS. And now we have our V1 voltage input on the stator side. Now, what you understand from this point or from this phasor, when we say that IM is responsible for generating this psi m. So your IM is, this is what we are referring to, IS plus IR. So whichever way you see, if you take IM as the current, then your IS is defined as IM plus IR. If you take IS and IR as the currents, then your IM is defined like this. Understanding my point? Now from here, if I ask you, we have to represent the stator and rotor flux also in this same phasor diagram. How will we draw? How will we draw the stator and rotor flux in this phasor diagram? This is an important question because we need to know where they lie. This is what we know, that from our textbook we have drawn. Since our graduate classes we have seen this. Now how to draw the psi s and psi r in the same phasor diagram? So let me revisit. Yes. Yes. Any suggestion?
Sir, will they be along IS and IR, sir?
Sir, it should be along with the respective current.
Is it? Let us see. This is the common understanding. If psi m is along IM, so psi s should be along IS and psi r should be along IR. This is the common, right? Let us see how true that is. Now what psi s is exactly? It is LLS IS plus LM, or I can say LS IS if I add the total IS term over here, plus LM IR. Understanding my point?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Take out, or if you divide this LS into two parts, LLS and LM, so you can represent this as, isn't it? And what is this part actually?
Sir, the psi m.
Psi m. So then what it can be written as LLS IS plus psi m. Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Psi r, what it is? LR IR plus LM IS. This also can be divided in two parts, LLR IR plus LM times of IS plus IR. Now what this is? Again your psi m. So what this becomes? LLR IR plus psi m. You see where it is going? What it says that your psi s is nothing but a component along IS getting added to that. So this is not your J times of something, but it is LLS IS getting added to your psi m. So this will be your psi s, this vector, what is coming over here. Okay, let me redraw for clarity. Understanding my point?
Yes, sir.
So is it along IS?
No.
Why? Because there is some IR component also getting added with that. It is not purely IS alone. And that is why it is not along IS alone. It is added with some IR term also. Understanding my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, when you have to draw psi r, what you will have to do? You will have to add this term LLR IR in the psi m. So something like this, a small component over here, and then this could be your psi r. Getting this? This is in case of when we are in the motoring mode. Then the psi s is leading your psi r. In generating mode, this will be reverse. Your psi r would be leading the psi s. So in any machine analysis course, I can go in more details about how the motoring and generating modes will be different. But as of now, you take this. Correct? So this is how your flux psi s, psi r, psi m. So these are represented in the same phasor diagram. Now you understand what these fluxes are and how they are located in the space. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, when we have understood that, let me define a couple of more terms, because these are the things which will be useful in simplifying our equations. So, something, let us say if I define as my, okay, let me take stator first. Stator leakage coefficient. Let's say I call it sigma s. What sigma s is by definition? It is the ratio of my LLS and LM. This is by definition, which means I am defining a new term over here, which is called as stator leakage coefficient. The meaning is, physical meaning is, what is the percentage of leakage with respect to the magnetizing current or magnetizing inductance. Clear? Similarly, we can also define rotor leakage coefficient. Let's say sigma r. So then sigma r would be what? Quickly.
LR upon LM.
LR.
R divided by L.
Understanding my point? So definition says that what is the percentage of magnetizing inductance that is defined as leakage, or how much is the leakage in terms of the magnetizing inductance. we are defining a relative term. Now, from this definition, we can write LLS as sigma s times of LM. And from this definition, we can write as LLS equal to some sigma r times of LM. Is that clear? This is only we are defining a term for our convenience. And it has the physical meaning that what is the percentage of leakage in terms of the magnetizing. Any leakage, whether stator or rotor. Now, what will happen? Our psi s, which was defined as LLS IS plus LM, you can represent LM IR, sorry, psi m I should write over here. Or I can write LM times of sigma s IS. So LLS I have represented like this plus LM IM. So then I can take out my LM term outside and I can write this whole thing as are you getting this? So IM is nothing but IS plus IR, and you can club these two terms. Now LM is common to all this you have taken out.
Yes, sir.
Any problem here? No problem, right? Simple mathematical rearrangement, that's all. Now here I take the liberty to define another term, which I call as stator magnetizing current, IMS. So if I say like stator magnetizing current, which means what? It is the current which is responsible for the complete stator flux and which is getting multiplied with LM. Now you make note of that. So IMS is my stator magnetizing current. So what will happen? Now I can define my stator magnetizing current in terms of IS and IR like this. So this is a fictitious current. It is not an actual current, which we are defining for our convenience, that it can be represented in terms of the rotor and stator currents like this. Understanding my point?
Yes, sir.
So far only we are defining things. We are not doing anything in the modeling or anything. We are only defining terms, and these will be very, very useful when we go for modeling. Now, similarly, when we have rotor flux, because this is where most of our things are going to be. So then we can write LLR IR plus psi m. So and again, this is in rotor reference frame. So this we can write LM sigma R IR plus LM IS plus IR. Understanding my point? Now, this I can rearrange and write like and I can define equivalently another term which I can call as rotor flux magnetizing current, IMR. So by definition we are giving this. So when I say rotor flux magnetizing current, this means what? The current which is responsible for the complete rotor flux. So IMR can be defined like 1 plus sigma r IR, and of course IMR is in rotor reference frame as of now. So all the definitions we have given. Now we are ready for our modeling part. Is that clear? These things are important because we are going to orient our reference frame along something that we have to understand. And then we will simplify a lot of things using these definitions. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, let us go to the reference frame once again and understand that how our quantities are or how our vectors are located in that. So now there are three reference frames which we will be talking about. So be very careful. The first reference frame is my stator reference frame. Alpha S, beta S. Any problem in that? Any problem in that?
No, sir.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
No, sir.
The second reference frame, which is my rotor reference frame, which is alpha R, beta R. Any problem in that?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Now the angle made by this is epsilon and this is rotating with omega R. Asynchronous speed. Now we are talking about induction motor. Is that clear? So maybe I should reduce the
Yes.
angle between beta S and beta R. That is going little bit more. Somewhere here it should be. Understanding my point? Now this epsilon is nothing but integral of omega R dt. Then I have my quantities located in this reference frame. So there is some psi m, the magnetizing flux is somewhere. And rotating with what? Which speed? Synchronous speed. Fine. Now I have my stator flux. So somewhere some component is added and it is represented like this. Okay, little difficult to draw in this. Maybe I'll use the scale better. So this is where my psi s is. Any problem in that? And this is also rotating with what? Omega s. Correct? Clear? Then we have our psi r that is located somewhere in the lagging position than psi s. So another term is subtracted from psi m and it comes something like this here. So this is how my psi r is. And this is also rotating with omega s. Any problem in this?
No, sir.
Any problem? Correct. Now, what we do, we say that we are going to have a DQ reference frame, which is synchronously rotating. So synchronous DQ reference frame, but where is it located? So from our PMSM experience, we have seen that if this DQ is along rotor flux, then our equations are very much simplified. You are understanding my point? You are understanding my point?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
No,
sir.
sir. No, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is what you have to understand very clearly, that our reference frame, the synchronous reference frame, is along this rotor flux. So this is my d-axis. Sorry, I think there is some, it should not go here. Okay. Okay, somewhere here, let us say. So my d-axis is along the rotor flux. That is what by definition we are saying. The direct axis is along the rotor flux. That is the meaning of rotor flux oriented reference frame. And q-axis is leading that. Understanding my point? So
Yes, sir.
made by this dq reference frame is defined as rho. And rho is what? Integral of omega s dt. Now you see epsilon is not equal to rho. In PMSM we had both same, but here it is not same. It's a different angle. These two are different angles. Because our induction motor is asynchronous machine. Is that clear? Now, in this reference frame, we will define all our quantities. So then we know that psi r is something defined on basis of rotor flux magnetizing current, which is IMR. So IMR will be oriented along this. Any confusion in that?
No, sir.
That is what we have defined. Our psi r is equal to, by definition, Lm times of IMR. So it is not Lm times of IR. No, it is Lm times of IMR, where IMR is combination of our IR and IS. Correct? Now, in some places, you may find stator flux oriented control also. So in case of stator flux oriented, where my d-axis will go? It will go along this IS. Understanding my point? So for some specific applications, people go for stator flux oriented control as well. Sometimes they may go for air gap flux oriented control. Then where my d-axis will come? It will come along psi m. Understanding my point? So here for the rotor flux oriented control, we'll be using our rotor flux magnetizing current. If we have to go for stator flux magnetizing current, stator flux oriented control, we will be using this IMS. If we have to go for air gap flux oriented control, we'll be using IM. By using what I mean that this is the quantity which we will try to control. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So for our purpose, because we have seen that it simplifies a lot of things, we will be using this as our tool, IMR. And as of now, everything is defined in the rotor reference frame. When we say psi r, IMR, all these things are in rotor reference frame. Is that true or not? Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Now, anywhere if we define, let us say our IMR is finally what? This is a vector. It's going to have some magnitude. It's going to have some direction. Isn't it? That is all it's going to have. Direction, we know that it is oriented along the d-axis. So a unit vector something like this, e raised to power j rho, is going to be there. Is it not? I am talking about only IMR. Finally, in any reference frame, if you go, IMR is finally a vector, right? There is no problem in that. A vector has two components, magnitude and direction. There is no problem in that. And if we look from our stator reference frame, the angle made by this vector is rho. So we know the orientation of this vector can be defined as e raised to the power j rho in the stator reference frame. Any problem in that?
No, sir.
So this we are seeing from stator reference frame. So just keep taking these things in bits and pieces. We will assemble all these things together after some time. But as of now, just take these things in bits and pieces. Now, any problem in this one? If you see from the stator reference frame, finally IMR is a vector, and a vector has two components. One is magnitude, another is direction. We know that this vector is making rho angle with the stator reference frame. So the unit vector associated with the direction could be e raised to power j rho. No problem in that. And for our convenience, we can define a magnitude for that vector IMR, capital IMR. Or any, let us say even small IMR. This is magnitude. Don't confuse it with the vector. Understanding my point? This again we are defining that, okay, let us assume that the vector is having a magnitude IMR and the direction is given by e raised to the power j rho. So this IMR vector in a stator reference frame can be given by IMR magnitude into e raised to the power j rho. This is again by definition we are saying. Any problem in that? Any problem in that?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Clear? Up to this, whatever things we have defined, any problem in that?
No, sir.
Okay. Now,
No, sir.
we come back to our equation. What is there? So, coming to the basic equations, what we have written. Is that clear? This is the same basic equation, what we have written. Now, when we go for squirrel cage induction motor, so far whatever things we have done, that is common for any induction motor, whether wound rotor or squirrel cage. Now we are coming to specific squirrel cage induction motor. What is the speciality with the squirrel cage induction motor?
VR to 0.
First
VR is
thing
zero.
we know is that VR is actually 0. See, when we say VR vector, we will represent it with 0 vector. So our VR vector is 0. There is no voltage on the rotor side. That is the first thing. And the second thing is that IR, this cannot be measured. We cannot have any probe or something connected over there to measure IR. It's actually a shorted conductor kept on the rotor. So we cannot measure that. These two constraints we have for the squirrel cage induction motor. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what we do, we try to get rid of IR, because this we cannot do anything. If we cannot measure, we cannot control. So we try to get rid of IR. So how do we get rid of? In terms of whatever quantities we have defined. What we have defined? We have defined our IMR, because this is where we are going to orient our reference frame. So IMR vector we have defined as is it not? Correct. This is in rotor reference frame. So in rotor reference frame, we can express our stator current as, what can we say? Is e raised to the power what? Plus or minus?
Minus.
Correct. When we say this, then we are still in the rotor reference frame. Which means if we are replacing our IR in the rotor equation, we'll be using this equation as IR vector is equal to 1 by 1 plus sigma r times of IMR minus IS e raised to the power minus j epsilon. This we will use to replace our rotor equation IR from the rotor, in the rotor reference frame. Correct? So both the places we have IR, in the stator equation also and in the rotor equation also. Both places we have to replace. Now, when we are replacing our rotor current in the rotor equation, we will have to use this equation. And when we have to replace our rotor current in the stator reference frame, so which is nothing but this. So you just rearrange e raised to power minus j epsilon, and this will become like this. Any problem in this? So these two equations we will be using to replace our rotor current and then simplify our model. And then finally going into the DQ reference frame where the IMR is defined. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt, any confusion here? Up to this, any confusion? Fine, no problem.
No, sir.
Okay.
Oh, sir.
So then we'll start from here in the next session at 2 p.m. and we will complete our induction motor modeling. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now the question which I asked in the last session for you to prove that the cross product is nothing but imaginary. How many of you could do that?
Yes. I will.
Yes, sir.
How many of you could do that? Did you try this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Able to prove this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now you understand when I say psi m cross IR, this can actually be represented as imaginary of some IR into psi m conjugate.
Yes, sir.
And then by using these definitions, which you are seeing now for this air gap magnetizing flux, rotor magnetizing flux, stator magnetizing flux, by using these definitions, you can actually come up with torque equation in terms of combination of different quantities, whether psi s IR or psi s IR or IS IR even psi-s, is, like that, all the combinations you can make from here. Understanding my point? Take any basic form. You take this as the basic form, and then you replace the values of psi-m, and then go on replacing with psi-s, psi-r, is, ir, all these things, and you will be able to make your torque equations in terms of all these quantities. So you may try it once on your own. Anyway, towards the end we will discuss. Maybe by Saturday or maybe next week sometime we will discuss these points. Meanwhile, you can try it on your own, how you get this. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
according to our convenience, whichever thing suits us, we can use that. Whichever thing is suitable for us. We can use that for our torque equation and then for controlling the different things. Is that fine? Naveen? Fine?
Sir, he said that he has mic problems, so he is typing in chat box.
Okay, okay. Okay, fine. Yeah, so this is the thing. Now let's meet sometime around 2 p.m. so we can start from here and complete the modeling, induction motor modeling, right? And meanwhile, just revise these things, whatever terms you have seen over here, some definitions, just go through that once again before coming to the class, so that it is fresh in your memory that what all we have done. Clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's meet at 2 p.m. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I am